Welcome. Have you ever been tempted to get back with an ex-boyfriend, an ex-husband, an ex-lover? Well, before you do, here's some things to consider. I'm Michelle Marchant Johnson with Love Life Coaching, and today I want to share with you 3 key questions you should consider before you get back with an old boyfriend, husband, ex-lover, etc. Now, first of all, let me say that, of course, there can be a temptation for this, especially if you've been out there dating and not really finding anyone that had some of the qualities that initially drew you to your ex. Maybe that's the physical attraction, maybe it's they were a very good lover. Likely they had some qualities and characteristics that really drew you to this person, or you likely wouldn't have been with them to begin with. However, there's a something to consider here before we jump into the 3 things, and that is he may have been great in many ways, and the relationship may have had a lot going for it, but, and this is a big but, no pun intended there was also probably something, some issue or issues that also tore you apart. So there's a reason why this person is likely an ex. And so most of the time, and I'm not going to say all the time, but most of the time, it may not make good sense to get back with your ex, because unless something has dramatically changed or significantly changed, unless there's something different going on in the dynamics of the relationship, you might very well find yourself back in the same place as you were when you decided to end it to begin with. Now, breaking up with someone can be really painful, and I also understand that sometimes there's no closure and there's no understanding as to why things ended, especially if he ended it. And that can be really challenging. That's kind of a separate issue that we'll discuss in another video. But what I'm talking about here is where there was a decision made by you or the 2 of you together to end a relationship for a cause, for a reason. Perhaps it was infidelity, perhaps it was addictions, perhaps it was behaviors of irresponsibility with finances or money or career, perhaps it was key differences in some of your really important values between the 2 of you. There can be a myriad of things, but the 2 of you are still intrinsically the same people right now. And so unless something has significantly changed, once 2 people kind of get used to doing the same dance steps together, it can be really tricky to learn a new pattern, a new dance. So that's just something to keep in mind overall. Now, in case you are thinking about getting back with an ex, I want you to consider 3 key things. The first question is, what is your motivation for getting back together? So the reason I'm asking you this question is your motivation coming from a place of fear or lack, or because you just haven't found anyone better yet? Because sometimes what happens is after a breakup, there's a period of loneliness, and as uncomfortable as it may have been to be in the relationship, it's also uncomfortable if you've been in a relationship for a while to be single again. And you may go on some dates, and you might consider the dates to be less than stellar, and you may find yourself remembering kind of the better parts of the relationship that you just got out of, or that you got out of some time ago, and kind of remembering the good parts and kind of diminishing or discounting the parts that weren't so good. That is kind of a blessing in a way, and it's also a little bit maybe of a curse in this situation, because we can remember the past, and we can remember a past relationship maybe through a little rosier eyes than what it might have actually been. So that's the first thing. What is your motivation? Is your motivation truly that you really love this person, that you really think there's an excellent chance that the 2 of you could now make a go of it, and you believe that you would both be willing to try? Or are you coming from a place of fear, doubt, scarcity, or lack? Because if it's the latter, that's not a good sign. That's not a good foundation to try to rebuild a relationship from. And that's the first piece. The second piece is, has anything significantly changed? So what I mean by that is, there were likely patterns, or there were problems, or there were issues that were going on that were causing conflict, causing turmoil, causing pain or disappointment or frustration in the relationship, which is why the two of you chose to end it to begin with. So again, that may have been patterns of infidelity or addiction or alcoholism or lying or irresponsibility or disrespect or whatever. And likely those things were patterns in a relationship. And those were likely things that were causing enough pain and conflict that one or both of you decided that it was time to terminate the relationship. And in many cases, we remember the good parts, but we don't always remember how significant some of those problems or some of those issues were in hindsight once we've broken up with someone. And yet, if you were to get back together with this person, would there still be that problem with the addiction or the alcoholism? Or is there an ongoing pattern of cheating, of unreliability, of irresponsibility? Is there a pattern? And if so, it's kind of a scary thought to think about going into it, because you're likely going to find yourself kind of back in that same place at some point down the road, and you'll have to go through that very, very painful process after you've allowed yourself to get all emotionally involved again, to have to actually break up and end it again. And so that is something to seriously think about. The third piece that I want you to think about is, what kind of safeguards, boundaries, or conversations need to be had or put in place in order to ensure that you're protecting yourself and giving this relationship the best chance to flourish if you do decide that you want to try to reunite with an ex. Now, you can probably tell that, generally speaking, for the most part, I don't usually think it's a good idea. Over the years, in working with so many women from around the world, I've had a number of clients who have explored this idea of getting back with their ex, and some have tried it for a while. For the most part, ultimately, even though they might have that initial euphoria of getting back together with someone that they once had a lot of feeling for and may still have a lot of feeling for the most part, ultimately, they end up right back where they started from, which is the same problems, the same issues, the same things that tore them apart are tearing them apart again. And then it's breakup number 2 with the same person. So it's really important that you consider these things and consider if getting back with your ex is something that you really want to do, and if that is really the best path forward for you. There are all kinds of resources out there on the internet on how to get your ex back, on how to win your ex back, on how to reconnect with your ex. And my question for you today, that I really want to leave with you, if you're tempted at all, is, do you really want to get back with your ex? Based on everything that I've shared with you today, and by asking yourself these 3 key questions, is it really wise and best for you? Is that really your most important path of growth and your best path forward? I would suggest that in many cases it is not. So have faith, have confidence, have clarity, and move forward with conviction and power, because you have likely grown and learned things that help you to be wiser and more prepared for a better relationship, a deeper, more satisfying relationship for you. That's my wish for you. And I hope that you will consider this if you're thinking about getting back with your ex. So if you like this video, please be sure to click the like button, subscribe to the channel, click the little bell so that you'll be notified when I put out a new video. And feel free to leave a comment below on any other questions or thoughts that you have about whether or not it's a good idea to get back with your ex. I'm sending you love for now, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.